the process was pretty quick for us because my husband is white. And so there was just so happens that there was a lot of biracial babies. Not that we like, just like we were in the running because the profile fit our home study. So there was a lot of biracial babies being born. And so we were matched. And so we had to say, hey, publicly funded, we'll put our stuff on hold for now. So we were matched in less than a year, which is very unique. It could take a pretty long time. And then in the publicly funded stream, you're less likely to get an infant. Not that we also, were worried about that, and then in private, you're likely. Very long story short, public, the children have already been kind of, the parents have lost, their rights to the child. So the Children's Aid Society chooses the family that's right for the child. Whereas in private adoption, the expectant or birth parents actually choose you from a bunch of profile books all about your family. So we have a beautiful open adoption with our son's birth family. Where we, see each other often, he's starting to kind of understand. We're just starting with like, you grew in your birth mama's.
How old is your son?
He's 4.
4. Okay.
We're just trying, like starting slow. Whereas like you're, you grew in your birth mama's belly, and then, so it's going to be interesting for him to wrap his head around that. But when he
does he, so, because I love that you guys have an open relationship and you guys hang out. When you guys hang out, he sees you as the mom.
Yeah.
What does he refer to?
Nothing yet, just their name.
Just like a friend. Okay.
Yeah, but like we're going to be very open. I know that adoption back in the day was very hush hush, and that, that means that a lot of people right now are very upset and angry, and there's trauma and loss and grief when you're lied to your whole life. So we want to be as open as possible. So openness is really encouraged here in Canada, because why wouldn't you want more love for your child, right? Like, it's not like the movies or the narrative that like, oh, they're going to steal my baby. Technically, it's not, like, it's our child. We are raising this child together, even though I'm his mom, you know what I mean? So, so when he came home, I had to fight because the doctor that initially did my surgery was trying to just put me on drugs to suppress my symptoms. But luckily, I advocated for myself, and I got a referral to a surgeon that I knew would, like a nerve and urogynecologist specialist. And as soon as I saw him, he validated everything. He did MRI. He said, yep, we're going to go in. So my son was 8 months old when I had a 17-hour surgery to excise my endo. It was on my ureters. It was on like every organ. They had to take my uterus. It was, they took a foot of bowel. It was all over my bowel. I'd had many colonoscopies, but it was on the outside, not the inside. So basically everything, like the doctor said that if I would have not seen him and had this surgery, it would have gone to my kidneys and killed me. So I'm very grateful. Yeah. So 17 hours, I was in the hospital for 23 days, 8-month-old. He could only come and see me a couple times because it's a lot, because it was in Toronto and I'm an hour out of the city. So that was really hard. Going back home now, I had a catheter, a nephrostomy tube, which is a tube in your kidney that brings your urine from your kidney right to a bag and not through the ureter, because they nicked the ureter when they were in there. And I had an ileostomy, which is, my bowel was removed, so it had to heal. So I had to have an ileostomy. So having an 8-month-old, well, you can't even pick them up. I had a lot of support, thank goodness. Was really challenging. So we talk about, how parenting is challenging on its own. So then you add in someone who's not well and not 100%. And then you throw in a pandemic when he's about 14 months, 14, 15, about 16 months. So I had a 16-month-old. Still with all these ready to run, still with all these bags. So your parenting is a little bit intense because you're going through a lot, and sometimes you're not at your best. And, it was just a really challenging time. And so then I ended up having another surgery to correct all of that. which was 11 hours, and I was in the hospital for 15 days. So they,
You've gone through so much.
reconnected the bowels, and I actually still had 2 bags for a while because that ureter now that they fixed had to heal.
Wow.
So it was just a lot.
Yeah.
And it actually will be, this is going to be in November, 4 years pain free, knock
Oh,
on wood.
wow.
And then, yeah, I'm still feeling some effects. I had neuropathy from overuse of antibiotics because I got infections
Oh, wow.
left, right, and center. So I'm still kind of, that's still in my toes and fingertips, but that's kind of like the end. So yeah, so adoption was what we, how we grew our family, and obviously we're grateful for our journey. Tough, challenging.
Right.
However, like, we
Right.
have our most beautiful boy and this beautiful open adoption, and I would say I'm kind of 100% now. So it's just been a really long 4 years.
Yeah.
But we powered through it, and I wouldn't have been able to do it with my community. So we circle back to that, like, with my mom friends, my local, like, camaraderie, my, close friends, my husband's close friends, family. We wouldn't be where we are. And then imagine a marriage on top of that, what we've gone through, me and my partner, through all of this. So it's just
Right.
really been a lot.
Going through parenthood is very challenging for, I would say, all
Everybody.
couples,
If
right?
if you say it's easy, you're lying.
Right. There's something that's like you probably not seeing each other all the time.
Yeah.
Or you might see each other once a month, and at that point would be hard. There's no possibility that
Right.
it's easy. It just,
No.
there isn't. And then going through medical problems, going through any surgeries, any things, that's difficult on self, on a relationship, on. And so I want to just applaud you, and I'm sorry that you had to go through so much, but I'm thankful that you're able to share with others. I think that's
Right.
really
That's the
important.
thing. That's why, on my Instagram, I share everything. I have stories of my whole hospital stays, the highs and lows and in betweens, the goals that I had to set to kind of keep my spirits up, the
Right.
lows of, like, being told I'm almost going home and I'm not. I feel like if I can share and show anyone who's going through the same thing, that you're not alone, I think it's worth it, even if it touches one person, right? So
Right.
I share everything in terms of IVF and infertility and highs and lows of motherhood, and you know adoption, and how beautiful open adoption is, and how you really need to grieve IVF before you even consider adoption, and how adoption is not like a solution to not being able to be a parent, because there's a lot of loss and grief and trauma. Like, yes, my son joined our family as an infant, but there's still, like, he has, like, separation anxiety. When I'm out of the house,
Right.
he loses it because perhaps in utero he, was separated from that person that he
Right.
was growing in for 9 months. You know what I mean? So there's still lots to work through, as
Right.
it's even more intense, I would say, in some situations, to parents child through adoption. So
Yeah.
it's not what the movies show, where it's like, oh, I'm just going to grow my family and have this big, beautiful, colorful family. No,
Right.
if you're a white family and you have a child who's Black, you need to make sure that their heritage is honored. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you
Right.
can't just pretend that they are white. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's a lot of layers, but it can be very beautiful.
You mentioned this twice, something about the movies, how we all see it in the movies, and I think that's something we should all remember that I often forget, is that I think television and movies did teach us. They were our parents for some time, right? Because we live in separated, we're no longer sharing stories at the campfire. We're learning from TV, because at school it's just like you said, it's math, numbers, and then the connection time is the TV. It was expanding, everybody would watch TV together. And so our examples, the things that we were supposed to learn from our family that was supposed to be modeled to us, was modeled by a written script to get a point across, right? To manipulate a situation. And when I see it in that light, I'm like, I can see how, because if I think we're going away a little from the TV, and we are seeing the YouTube or even the social media, but at least that lets us see a real life, like a real role model, in a way where we can say, oh, somebody else is on a similar path as me. it doesn't have to be this way as it was.
Right.
Different circumstances, different community, different village that can.
And that's the thing. And some of these, writers who write these TV shows, movies, they don't have experience with it, right? And they're not consulting with people who have been through it often, right? So
very often it's like that, they're there to write and to make something funny. There's lots of different formulas that are used for the writing, and many of those people aren't parents. Many of those people haven't been in the situation, and even if you do, get a producer on set, right? Somebody who's knows all about it, a consultant who can talk to you, that's still one person's story and not the community, not the right. And so it's silly that we see it as a role model. I saw television as a role model, but the more I dig in there, I'm like, that isn't the parent I should be listening to, because I think I was trying to find a parent because I didn't. And so we try to find these other things though. I could talk to you for a really long time. You're great.
I know, right?
It's cool to explore these things, and I think we share a lot of similarities, but I also think we share a lot of differences. But I love being able to talk to you because I think the openness in your heart, right? I don't feel. It's true. It's this intuition, right? When it's an open, kind heart, and you're just discussing things with a person, versus what we talked about way before was this really rigid cut things, conversations that some people are having, which is, it's sad because it's not, nobody can hear through that noise. And I think that there's so much that needs to be said.
That's the thing. There's a comfort when you meet people that you can have an honest conversation with. You feel safe and you feel that comfort. And that's, what I want to bring to my communities that I'm involved in and spread that. Right. So
I love that.
Hopefully this conversation can help some people that might kind of look within and self-reflect and see how they're, interacting in the world and perhaps make a change.
Right. Sometimes I think of like, our kids can do this and this and this, but like, it starts with us. That's the way our kids can do it.
We are the example.
We are the now. It's not the kids are the future and the kids are this. It's like, we gotta start taking responsibility, because every interaction we have is not only seen by our kids, other strangers, but it can make or break because we don't know what the other person's dealing with, right? There's so much in there. Cassandra, thank you for your time. Will you let the listeners know how they can find you, get in touch with you, all of the stuff you'd like to?
For sure. So you can follow me at full of Cass with period. So full period of period Cass. It's private at the moment, but I, just say, if I don't respond, just say, hey, I saw you on the pod and I'd love to follow you, just because, I was public for a bit. And just like you were saying, like, I don't know, back when I put my profile back onto private, I wasn't at a place where I can handle comments like that, but now I think I'm back to that. So I might make it public soon, but and then Bearing Roots Doula is if you're in Ontario, obviously, but also lots of great content if you are a parent or someone who is going to be a parent. And then if you are in the Ontario region, momaradery.ca, we're just helping moms create their modern mom village through finding friends and support through community. Moms at Work is